So now I'm gonna give the word to David Perpetuini. He's a PhD student in the Department of Musicology at the State Conservatory of Music Gaetano Braga in Teramo, Italy. And he will discuss also the use of fNIRS and thermography during music performance, with a particular focus on measuring performance anxiety and cognitive load. So welcome.
Okay, good morning everyone. Thank you for your kind introduction. So today I will talk on the feasibility of measuring physiological changes related to music performance anxiety, related both on autonomic nervous systems modifications and also on brain activity modifications related to this kind of situation. By means of near-infrared spectroscopy and thermography. So, music performance anxiety is a condition that several musicians have to face during performance. They report of sweating, increase of the heartbeat, also the difficulty to focus on what they are doing in that moment, tremors. So there are some experiences that sometimes can impact the performance of the musician, but also they can impact all the well-being of the musicians, because it's a source of stress for the individual. So it could be beneficial for the musicians to find a way to improve the management of their music performance anxiety. And maybe one method able to help the musicians could be a system based on biofeedback, that is based on the measurements of physiological signals, such as the brain activity, or also the autonomic nervous system activations. But the challenge of doing this is that we need some instrumentations that cannot interfere with the practice, with the performance itself, because when you have to play, you need your space, you need to be free in your movement. So it should be something that the instrumentation should be wearable, portable, or non-contact. So in this scenario, maybe the fNIRS, the functional near-infrared spectroscopy, and also the thermography could be beneficial. So what I've done during my first year of PhD is to demonstrate the feasibility of measuring some variation of physiological signals during performances through thermography and near-infrared spectroscopy. Specifically, I performed two pilot studies separately, one based on thermography and the other one based on fNIRS, to see if it is possible to measure some modification in the anxiety of the musicians and also in the cognitive load. So I will present separately the two studies. So in the first one we used infrared thermography. That is a technique that is able to measure at a distance the temperature of the skin. In the biomedical field it is widely used for several applications, but in affective computing, so in the study of the motions, it can be used by focusing the face of the individual and by making some inference of the activation of the autonomic nervous system. So what is usually done with the thermography is to record a video, so it's like a camera, but you have a thermal video. So in order to process this kind of signals, you need to track the face of your individual by means of some tracking algorithms, and after that you can extract the temperature from some regions of interest in the face that you can define by means of the points, that the facial landmarks that are detected by the tracking algorithms. And after that, you can maybe develop some artificial intelligence model to classify the state of the individual. So for our study, we used miniaturized thermal camera with a visible camera co-registered. This is done because actually there are a lot of algorithms for the tracking of the face for the visible domain, but for the infrared domain they are not available. And actually they works, the performance are lower with respect to the visible one, because the face is not so well defined as in the visible domain. So the standard practice is to track the visible domain and through a geometrical transformation to transpose the landmarks on the thermal image. And after that we can process the thermal imaging. In this study we measured for musicians in two different conditions. One was during the rehearsals, and so during a simple training, a practice, and the other one was during an examination or a concert, so a situation that maybe it can produce some stress in the musician. So the first step was to define our regions of interest. This is me playing. And so we decided to focus on the forehead, glabella, nose, nose tip, nostrils, and also perioral. And we discarded some places of the face because maybe the inner part of the eye could be beneficial, but I have glasses, so maybe it could be complicated to measure the temperature with glasses, and also maybe we have some the barb in the cheeks, so maybe it could be also a problem. So we prefer to focus in part that more or less are free on airs. After that, we are able to extract the temporal time course of the temperature, and we are able also to extract some features. We choose the skewness, the kurtosis, and the sample entropy. These features are related to the distribution of our temperature, so they can be indicative of how the temperature evolves over time during the performance and during the training. Moreover, we use some machine learning models embedded in the HIRA module, that it was the thermal camera that we used. And these models are able to assess the presence of stress and the dominance of the parasympathetic or sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous systems. The stress model is a three-level classification model, so no stress, low stress, and high stress. Whereas the dominance of the sympathetic is simply sympathetic dominance, not sympathetic dominance, so two classes. So after that we evaluated our features during the two conditions, so the rehearsals and the performance. And as we can see, the sample entropy showed some differences on the nose tip, nostrils, and also on the perioral. Whereas the skewness showed a lot of modification, especially on the nose. In fact, it seems that it changed also the sign. And for the kurtosis also, we see a lot of differences during the rehearsals and during the performance from our participants. Regarding the machine learning models, we can see that during the rehearsals and the performance, the presence of low stress is the predominant class. But if we can see the percentage of time that the musicians spend during the high stress condition is higher during the performance with respect to the rehearsals. Instead, focusing on the dominance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic system, as you can see during the rehearsals they seem to be perfectly balanced, whereas during the performance there is a predominance of the sympathetic branch of the autonomous nervous systems. The sympathetic branch is the one related to the concentration, to the focus, but also maybe on the fear. So it could be quite interesting. So it seems that we can use infrared thermography to measure some physiological modifications related to the performance in musicians. It is not contact, so it cannot interfere with the performance of the musician himself. And obviously, the study sample is only for musicians, so we have to generalize these results. So we are continuing to acquire participants to demonstrate if these results are generalizable. So, regarding the second study, we use the functional near infrared spectroscopy. I won't talk about the fNIRS because I think that now we are quite into the fNIRS, but I will focus a bit on the data analysis that we use for the activation evaluation, because as the previous speaker said, maybe one of the most used technique to assess the activation of the brain is the general linear model for fNIRS, but also for the Bolt signal in the fMRI. But actually, when we use the general linear model, we need two information that are quite important. That is the start of the activation and the duration of the activation. The problem when we use a paradigm such as I'm playing, it could be quite difficult to define the instant when the activation starts and also the duration of the activation itself. So it could be quite challenging to use the general linear model. So we used an algorithm called AID that can automatically define the best probable duration and onset of the activation. This algorithm tests all the possible combination of onset and duration and find the most probable pattern of activation. So we use this kind of algorithm to see if we can assess some differences during the performances of our musician. Specifically, we had only two musicians, one saxophone player and a clarinet player. I'm both saxophonist and clarinetist, and they played with my quartet of clarinet and saxophone, and we measured the brain activity of these musicians during a concert, so in a situation that can lead to stress. And what we wanted to see if during the performance we can observe some modulation of the brain activity, because during the performance of the saxophonist we have a solo part, so it's an improvisation part, and during the clarinet performance we have a solo part in the end of the composition. So we have a part where our player play alone. So we wanted to see if you can find some modification during these parts of the musical sheets. So we used a cortivision system, photon cap devices with the montage shown in the figure, and we focus mainly on the from the motor to the frontal prefrontal cortex to see if we can assess some differences. So we acquired our signals and we analyzed the data with the algorithm AID that I presented. And this algorithm, so it's able to provide in output the information of the activation, typically of the GLM, that is the T-stat and beta value, and also it is able to create a T-signal, that is the evolution of the T associated to the brain activation during over time, so during our performance. And if the T is higher, we can say that maybe the activation is higher. So The two graphs that I reported are related to the brain activation of the saxophone player on the panel A and of the clarinet player on the panel B. So what we can see is that during the improvisation part, that it is the central part, our saxophone player showed a higher brain activity with respect to the other part of the composition. Whereas our clarinet player showed a higher brain activity during the solo part with respect to the other part of the composition. So, in conclusion, we can say that also fNIRS could be able to assess the cognitive load of musicians during performance. It could be used because it's portable, it's wearable, so it can not interfere with the performance itself. But also in this case, it's only a pilot study, so we have only 2 participants, but we can increase our study sample to find best solutions also for the data analysis to demonstrate the generalizability of the results. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have questions? Yes. Hello?
Well, thank you so much. I mean, being able to point a camera at a musician and passively measure anxiety is sort of a dream for us. It's very exciting to see this progress. As you said, very much pilot study. I'm just sort of curious whether, either in your work or maybe you're aware of other work, have we seen any examples of comparing these measures to say, the more traditional measures of anxiety, heart rate variability, cortisol, etc., to get a sense of sort of the validity of these approaches as they're emerging?
Yeah. Thank you for your question. Yeah, actually we are, during my project, we are planning to not only to collect fNIRS and thermography data, this time combined, not separately, but also the project involves the employment of heart rate variability, so we are using a smart shirt to measure both the breathing rate, so the expression, but also the heart rate variability. And also we are planning to measure the electromyography of the muscles, because our idea is that maybe when you have anxiety, when you have excessive cognitive workload, maybe you can start to tremor, maybe your coordination is not so good. So we are starting to find the best solution to evaluate this kind of aspect, because maybe with an accelerometer could be fine, maybe an EMG can be fine, but also maybe a tracking of the hand could be fine. So now we are starting the real campaign of measurements. So we have 3 conservatories involved in these measurements. So we are planning to acquire a lot of data, and maybe we can find the best strategy also to, in the end, to decrease the number of sensors that we use in order to be more comfortable for the musician. Regarding the heart rate variability, also the breathing rate, I didn't mention because maybe it's quite a detail, but when you evaluate the brain activity with fNIRS, you have some physiological confounding. So in our montage we have also some short channels, the one that the previous speaker told, that they are measuring only the scalp-related activity that is not brain. So we can use this to clean the data to increase the quality of the functional data. But actually, when you play a wind instrument, like a clarinet, for instance, you have to breathe a lot. So your breathing rate can highly impact the signal that you acquire with fNIRS. So using other physiological sensors such as heart rate variability, breathing rate, can help us to clean better the fNIRS signal. So I think it's the only smart thing to do to use these sensors.
Thank you.
Hello. This experiment you tried, did you try it many times with the same people or just once?
The concept was just one. the rehearsals were for the thermography part. For the fNIRS, it was just one shot. It was a concert, and we measured the activity during this concert. But for the thermography part, no, we had several measurements in the during the training, and then we compared the average of these with the concert.
Because I would be very interested to know, for instance, if you would try the one with the fNIRS, if you do it many times to see if there's a difference. Because I can imagine that if you have it on your head, that you would be just stressed to know that you're being recorded. Well, I have no idea. Maybe.
No, I think that it is quite an important point, because I think that when you continue with practicing, your brain modifies, so that there is something like functional plasticity that modify your activation pattern. So I think that it is very important to see how you can evolve your training, also your ability to play this composition. So no, I think that it's important to do this. In fact, in the protocol that we are starting now, we are planning to measure during 1 month 3 times during the practicing of one composition, in order to see the evolution over time, and then we organize a concert to see what happened in the concert. So the idea is this one, because you can say in this way you can demonstrate that you can evaluate the evolution of the training, but also if the final point that you reached during this study is the same that you experienced during the performance, but maybe because of the anxiety is not the same. Yeah. But we have to.
Because I could imagine that the most important thing for us is to know how can we impact this in a positive way, meaning to have the anxiety go down. But then to know this, we should have the data to see what is really happening, and if it's just once, it's a bit difficult to know.
Yeah, actually, in this case, I'm not sure how to do this. I mean, because it is a problem that we ask to ourselves, obviously. But because actually, I think that maybe I can manage the anxiety in a different manner of view. So maybe what I experience is different. Maybe so. Is it really possible to define a general model of the anxiety? Maybe not. So I was thinking that maybe it could be better to do something for a single subject. So for me, I have my model, so I can perform different measurements on myself and to see how can I manage my anxiety. So the idea is to perform this biofeedback that I told in the very beginning of the talk. Because if you have the possibility to have real time the idea of what is happening in your body, so okay, now your cognitive load is too high, so you have to relax a bit, or maybe okay, your heartbeat is too high. I don't know. Maybe the musician can find some strategies to manage these aspects, and maybe can improve his performance. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you for the talk. I'm very interested in your thermal camera measurements. I have some practical questions, but maybe I can ask that later. What I did not fully understand was how you get from these measures of skewedness and cortical and so forth to the measure of sympathetic dominance. Like, is this based on a model that was trained on some other data or something? How does that happen?
There were 2 different parts. I started some figures that I think that could be indicative of the evolution of our temperature and temp curves, and I only observed if there were some differences during the rehearsals and during the performance. But then sympathetic dominance, the stress level models, they are some machine learning models developed and tested, validated and tested, and already embedded in the software of the thermal camera, but they are covered on commercial. So I They are based on supervised machine, KNN, but it's different. It's another. They are training on thermal features, but not only from these that are reported.
Shorts question.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. What was the level of expertise in the people in your sample?
They were all students at the last year of the master in music, so not professionals, but in the end of their studies.
And are you thinking of doing studies again with different people with different levels of expertise, or maybe that also different instruments?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, we are planning to. The problem is that it's quite difficult to enroll all these people, because if you put in the experimental design all these variables, you need to have a lot of participants. We decided to focus on 2 classes, so students that are almost at the end of their studies, so maybe they are good, not professionals, but they are good. We compare the results with professionals, so we enrolled also professors of the conservatory that are partner of this study, but also some professionals that they agreed to participate in our study. So the idea is this one, but actually the problem that I see is that the sample numerosity of the professional group could be quite reduced with respect to the students, but maybe it will be not so reduced, so maybe we can do something, because actually I think that the level of experience can be crucial in this case, and it's what the same that I said previously. Everyone managed the anxiety in a different way, but also the level of experience, I think that it can be a key point of this aspect.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
And maybe you said that before, but I didn't take it. So what's your dream with this by the end of your PhD? So what do you want to achieve, or like what is the tool or the useful application that people are going to have with this? Like, is an individual therapeutical tool, or is more like in a group setting, or how is that? Because I couldn't visualize that.
No, I think that I think more to a training instrument. So the idea is to create this hub with all these instruments related. So we perform one platform that manages all the instrumentation and provide in real time the results of this model. The problem is that I think that in the end we will perform 2 platforms, because one should be related with all of this instrumentation, but maybe it should be modular. I mean, because maybe one conservatory do not have the fNIRS, the thermography, the MG, so it could be quite difficult to make it available for all the users. But maybe if it is modular, so you can enable or disable some devices, you can also perform a little part that is only based on the visible part, maybe, or maybe on very low cost thermal cameras, so something that could be available for everyone in the study. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will